Then have you muted everyone?
They were muted on coming in, and we're asking everybody to stay muted. And if you want to just see the speaker, you can play around with your screen, and there should be a speaker view versus a gallery view. And the speaker view should bring up who's the person talking.
Okay. Welcome everyone. We are super excited you're here. This is our 16th annual Adapted Living and Recreation Expo. So as Jen mentioned, we are being recorded so we can view this later on. My name is Angie Hulsewis. I am the current president for the Iowa chapter of United Spinal Association. If you're able to see the other participants, you'll see that we're wearing these orange shirts and some of us have the same background. Those are the board members. So look for those orange shirts, and those are the people that run the Iowa chapter. So you guys can wave, the board members go ahead and wave. So awesome. So thank you again for attending. This is our first ever big virtual event. So kind of a learning curve for us too. So bear with us as we transition to each speaker, but we will do our best and have a great event for everyone. So like I said, this is going to be recorded. We are going to break it down into smaller presentations so you can view each video as a resource on our website. So we want to provide that for you as well. So let's go over a little bit of Zoom etiquette just to be respectful of everybody's time so we can all get the most out of this event as possible. So we do have a lot of exciting things happening and we can't wait to share them with you. Like Jen said, we are going to mute everyone just so we can be focused on who is speaking. Feel free to turn your video off as needed. If you need to, that's fine. You can still listen in. We want to be sure your name is displayed on your video. So if it's not, go ahead and click those 3 little dots at the top of your video and make sure your name is typed in there instead of like a phone number or something so we can see who all is attending. I do want to draw your attention to the chat button. It should be on the bottom of your, if you're on your computer, it's at the bottom of your screen, or click the more and that'll go to chat box. If you're on your phone, it's the more button on the bottom right of your phone. So go ahead and click that and click chat. So we're going to use this function throughout the day, so just to give you links and resources and stuff like that, but we want to test this out. So go ahead and use your chat button, type in your name and the city and state that you live so we can see where everyone's from. So go ahead and do that so we can make sure it's working. Okay. While you guys are doing that, we'll keep going here. We do have some friends joining us from outside of Iowa, so that's exciting as well. At the end of this event, we will be emailing out our survey. We would like all of you to answer those few survey questions. I think there's only like 6 questions. And if you do answer those questions, you will be in the drawing for one of 8 $20 gift cards. So we're going to give some prizes away for participating. So, all right, I think we are ready to get started. So as you may know, the Iowa chapter is a statewide chapter of a national organization, and that is United Spinal Association. We have here representing United Spinal, we have Nick Labasi. And if you can think of any questions for Nick while he's presenting, just type them in the chat box and we will ask him those questions when he's done. But let's just get started. So here to talk about benefits of being a member of United Spinal, we do have Nick Labasi. So take it away.
Hi, everyone. As Angie mentioned, my name is Nick Labasi. I am Vice President of Partnership Expansion with the United Spinal Association, and I've been with the organization for about 13 or 14 years now, both as a board member and working for the organization. And Angie asked me to come on and not only give you a little bit of information about being a member and what a member includes. I think it's important to understand the history of United Spinal Association and our foundation, as being a member not only includes, tangible benefits, but it allows people to be a part of something that obviously helps people with spinal cord injury or disorders. So what I'd like to start doing is talk about our history and mission. United Spinal Association was founded in 1946 by several World War II veterans, and they came back from the war and felt they weren't getting the services that they deserved, rightfully so, and they started advocating for themselves. They actually started in New York City. A couple of them chained themselves to poles in New York City, and essentially that's how United Spinal Association started. They advocated for all types of things, but really greater civil rights and the ability to have independence for them and their fellow service members. And since our inception in 1946, our core belief really hasn't changed at all. And we really believe that despite living with a spinal cord injury, a full productive life is within grasp for anyone that has the strength to believe it and the courage to make it happen. And essentially what we do is try to give tools and offer programs and services both at the national level as well as the chapter level. Obviously, you're all involved with the Iowa chapter, and I thank you for that. The strength of our organization, in my opinion, is our chapters. And to date, we are the largest nonprofit in the United States dedicated strictly to helping people with spinal cord injury or disease. And it's important to keep in mind a lot of the things that we advocate for benefit others that use wheelchairs as well, or have mobility impairments. And we don't exclude our membership, but we are centric for spinal cord injury and disorders. We are, as I mentioned before, we're committed to providing active lifestyle information, all different types of peer support that allows for proper advocacy that will empower individuals to achieve their highest potential in all facets of life. Currently, we have over 57,000 members, which is pretty impressive. And as I mentioned, we're dedicated to making sure that people with spinal cord injury have access to things that will help them in all different aspects of what they choose to achieve. And that could mean going to school, going back to work, caregiver information. And as I go through some of our programs and services, which I'm going to start now, just because it's important to understand exactly what we do. And even now when I speak, it's only going to scratch the surface. We go into depth in a lot of these different programs that we have. So I'll start out with our membership. I mentioned that we have 57,000 members. United Spinal Association has 49 active chapters nationwide. Each chapter is self-dependent, self-funded organizations, and they share the same goals as United Spinal Association. And though each chapter may do things differently, really what they're trying to do is build a community and offer programs and services that are relevant to the people in their area. We have chapters all over, as I mentioned, and certainly the chapter in Southern California does different things than the chapter in Boston, let's just say. And it's due to population, demographics, weather. It could be a host of different things. We trust that the chapters provide the services that they feel their members would best benefit from. And that ranges from promoting health and well-being, inclusion and independence in everything, as I mentioned before, whether it's housing, school, or the workplace. They organize local events and projects, very similar to what Angie and the board has done with this event. They advocate for rights and accessibility, and they can do that both at a national level, which I'll get to in a little bit, or they can do that locally, whether it's in a municipality, county, or the state level. And all of our chapters offer information and support to one degree or another. Some chapters specialize in offering that support and information in their geographic area. Others just have the connections and make those connections as appropriate. I did mention that our chapters have different missions and programs. And again, they are dedicated to enhancing the lives of individuals living with spinal cord injury. So very similar to the national organization. And in fact, if you were to look at our mission statement at a national organization level, as well as our chapters, they're very much similar. So that's our chapter network. We also have support group network, and we have over 195 support groups throughout the country. I'm often asked, what's the difference between a peer support group of United Spinal Association and a chapter of United Spinal Association? And there are several things legally. Chapters have to have a mechanism for funding, whether they're on our group exemption, 501c3, or they file for their own. They also need to have a functioning and active board of director. They need to file articles of incorporation, whereas the support groups are much more loosely put together. Someone could just, collaborate with the local rehab hospital and decide to run a peer support on the third Thursday of every month, or whatever it may be. But we do have 195 support groups, and they are equally as important, because in many cases, that's where an individual will first be exposed to others that have similar challenges as they do, or families and friends, family members. And, the support groups, in a lot of instances, I know many of the chapters, if not all of our chapters, do some form of support group. You could argue that doing these types of calls and these events are as well a form of support for individuals. I've been injured 24 years, and when I do these types of events, I always learn, and I'm always looking out for new ideas and hearing what other people have to say. And that's really a form of support group and peer support, one-on-one and in a group setting. And the other thing I think with the peer support group is that generally, when people get involved at a peer support group level, they tend to want to be involved with the chapter, just because they find it exciting and interesting to see what others are doing and how they can be involved, and ultimately sometime down the road where they can be involved to eventually help others as well. So that's our support group. I went over our membership nationally at over 57,000 chapters, support groups. And now I just want to go through some of the programs that we do nationally and have done for many, 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 many years. So we have a ton of free publications. And I urge you to go to unitedspinal.org. I'll reference that website several times during this presentation, but it's unitedspinal.org. We have a wealth of resources on there. We have a publication section. We've written many publications. We have over 15 various publications that cover many, many topics, including disability etiquette. We wrote a book about understanding the ADA, the Fair Housing Act, women's health for women with spinal cord injury, fire safety for people with spinal cord injury. All of these are aids that allow our members to, dig more into some of their needs and to understand things that are available to them. So again, you can locate them at unitedspinal.org. How many of you, can you raise hands? How many of you are formal members of United Spinal Association? You get New Mobility Magazine? Who gets New Mobility Magazine? Well, if you get New Mobility Magazine, you're a member. That's one of the benefits of becoming a member of United Spinal Association. And again, this is a tangible benefit. A lot of the things that I'm speaking about prior to this, and we'll speak to after this, are things that we do at a national level to help individuals, as I mentioned, with spinal cord injury. So it may not be that you're getting a magazine every month, but these other things are of value to our members. So New Mobility Magazine, if you read it, you understand what it is. It's really a cutting edge active lifestyle magazine for wheelchair users. And it's really meant to show that as wheelchair users, we're not sitting in the house and, not taking initiative and not involved in sports and schooling and business and advocacy. So it's really a mainstream societal magazine. And it really, the purpose is to show the vibrant world of disability-related arts, media, advocacy, philosophy. Our stories foster a sense of community throughout the spinal cord injury community, and also empowers others to participate. So some of the things that we've covered, if you haven't read the magazine in the past, we do a lot of stuff on education. Years ago, we used to do a lot on research in regards to a cure for paralysis. We still do, but we just don't focus on that. We do more quality of life while we're using wheelchairs. What are the things that are important to us? So obviously education and work. We do an issue every year called Love Bites, which is the February issue. We do it for Valentine's Day, which is not only love, but sexuality for individuals with spinal cord injury, which is always an interesting magazine or month that we do this. We do stuff on home ownership, recreation, travel, entertainment. I mean, you name it, we do it. We try to make sure that all these different areas are represented, understanding that out of our 57,000 members, not everyone wants to do the same thing. So we try to do it pretty diverse. We do a lot on health concerns, whether it's wound care, bowel, bladder, sexual function, skin integrity. So a lot of that we do. We also have a section in there, MS Life, where there's an article or two every month for our members that have MS as well. And so New Mobility is one of the ways that we can directly reach our members. We also have a really robust resource center, and the resource center connects our members with information and various different resources, whatever it is that they call for. We have an Ask Us feature on our website. So if you were to go to unitedspinal.org and go to Resource Center, there's an Ask Us button. And really what that is, it's a direct service delivery tool that increases our public outreach efforts. So we have individuals with spinal cord injury, family members, caregivers. We have professionals throughout our hospital network that use this tool. This goes directly to our resource center, and from there, our resource center staff decides what is relevant for any particular part of our organization. So if it's a membership question, a chapter, support group, it would come to me or my colleague Lindsay. If it's an advocacy, it would go to our office in DC. And we really take pride in our ability to connect individuals with what they're looking for. So if we don't have it, we make sure that we connect them to someone that can get that for them. And that's really the biggest thing. Many delivery tools like this, not so much for spinal cord injury because we're the ones that do this, but any type of service delivery tool like this, there's always canned answers, meaning if you type in, I'm looking for accessible housing, you would get some type of canned reply that says, someone will be in touch with you shortly. In the meantime, you can go to here or whatever. We don't do that. If one of our resource center professionals aren't available, they will get right back to you and make a physical verbal connection so we can actually understand your needs and then try to get you the resource that you or your loved one or family member are looking for. So our resource center is a big part of what we do. We get somewhere between 5,700 calls a month, I think, or unique inquiries, we call them. So it could be whether it's a phone call at our 800 number or a direct ask through Ask Us. One of the things that our resource center has organized for the past 8 or 9 years is periodic webinars, and we archive all these on our website. So again, you could go to www.unitedspinal.org and check out some of the webinars we have. They're on there from, like I said, 8 or 9 years ago. So some of them might not be relevant now. Some of them are we've done early on with Social Security income benefit. Obviously stuff like that changes as the years go by, but there are other things that really don't change. So you can do that, and you can also see a schedule on our website of upcoming webinars. And you can, like I mentioned, you could archive them. I think they go back the full 8 or 9 years, so it's pretty good. So I think, as I explained and started as I explained our history, we started out as an organization that started doing advocacy, and that really still remains a key focus for us. I went through a lot of things that we offer, but none of it's really possible without our ability to advocate for ourselves and to make these things available. Our public policy team is located in Washington, D.C. I know several of you have been to some of our events and have met Alex Benowitz, who's our VP of Government Relations. as well as some of our Vets First team. And I'll touch on that as we go through this. But our office in DC really works closely with legislative officials to ensure that all national policy does not impede the rights and/or access to services and programs for individuals with spinal cord injury or disorder. And then one of the ways that we directly have impact on our legislators is our role on Capitol Hill event. I know several of you have been to it in the past. This is affectionately known as ROCH. And this is our annual legislative advocacy event, and it addresses issues that directly impacts people living with spinal cord injury and all of issues regarding quality of life. It's a really neat event. We get to, I think last year, we didn't do it this year. We had some virtual stuff because of COVID. But last year, I think we made 234 visits in one day. That means that we were directly able to influence 234 congressional leaders, whether it was on the Senate side or the House side. I think that that's very impressive. Any group that you talk to that goes to Capitol Hill and tries to advocate for themselves, no matter what the cause, 234 visits is very impressive. And the past few years, we've actually had some successes while we were in DC. And it's exciting to, have a voice and speak for yourself as well as others that may not be able to do so. So it's something that we take great pride in. We love our advocacy. We love our members that are involved in advocacy, and it's just a great thing. Part of our advocacy as well is our Vets First organization. If you recall, when I started, I said that we started out with a couple of World War II veterans, so veterans are still near and dear to our heart. We have Vets First, and our veterans organization really takes care of vets that have spinal cord injury, although we have what's called NSO, National Service Officers, and those National Service Officers interpret benefits. It's very, very complex, the VA system, and a lot of times individuals or veterans aren't sure what their benefits entitle them to. So our National Service Officers advocate on their behalf and ultimately work with the individual to allow and to teach them how to advocate for themselves within that, complex VA system. We don't turn away anyone. So as a National Service Officer or National Service Organization for veterans, we work with people with PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, polytrauma, meaning that there were multiple injuries during combat or while they were enlisted. So again, this is something that's important to us, and it helps us because, a big portion of the disability population comes through the VA system. And in many cases, from a legislative standpoint, when VA or veterans benefits or VA initiatives are passed to help benefits in any aspect of life, a lot of time that trickles down to the public sector. So it's important for us that we are involved there as well. I did mention our National Service Officers, and this program annually, we connect about 2,000 veterans a year. We get way more that call in, but that's actually the amount that we help, somewhere around 2,000. And our National Service Officers, we used to have a lot more. I think we only have 4 now. So that's pretty impressive. It's not, some of them are quick where they call in and the National Service Officer is able to guide them or direct them quickly. In many other instances, it's multiple touch points with the individual, working with the specific VA hospital in their region. And in some cases going to what's called the VISN. So the VA hospital has different regions, and then in many cases working nationally. So I think that's something great that we do. Talking about the VA system on the civilian side, on the privatized side is hospitals. We work with all of the major spinal cord centers in the country. We have about 115 hospital members. We put together a pretty robust hospital membership program about 9 years ago. And we try to be the first line of defense for individuals when they come out of the hospital. And one of the best ways to do that is through our chapters, because our chapters have, eyes and ears on the ground, but we try to partner with hospitals to make sure that as they're releasing their patients, they give them information about us so they can get to us and the chapter by extension. We have about 115 hospitals nationwide that are partnering with us, as I mentioned. We do several things with them. We give them 10 copies or however many they request a month of New Mobility magazine to put in waiting areas. I think if you all have read New Mobility magazine, I know I was injured 24 years ago. And the first time I ever was exposed to it was in rehab. And that's our goal is try to get that into people's hands, because it does early on you get to see what other people are doing, and that, you know, life isn't doom and gloom. There is possibilities out there. And even if an individual isn't ready to look at it, we know that family members and caregivers are, and it inspires and helps them to help their loved one get through it. So it's a big part of what we do. Another part of the hospital membership program is the New Beginning Backpack, which empowers individuals with a wide range of resources to help them overcome some of the challenges. We have stuff in there on accessible vans, catheters, ostomy equipment. So again, it's just something that'll help them. I know, Angie, I'm running long. I'm going to finish up quick, and then I'll just take some questions. One of the last things I wanted to mention, it's one of the programs that really helps subsidize a lot of what we do as a nonprofit. It's called Accessibility Services, and this is a program that ensures that the built environment is accessible to all people with disabilities. For instance, we work for the last 15 years, I think. We've done all the major stadiums and arenas around the country. They bring us in proactively to work with architects and their engineers to ensure that the built environment is accessible. And not only for wheelchair users, but for hearing impairment and people with visual impairments. So it's really a great service that we offer. That program has grown exponentially in the last few years. And it's staffed by, we actually have plan examiners in there. We have attorneys, architects, we have code officials, any aspect of the building from the onset when there are, from when the plans come in until the actual CO, certificate of occupancy. Our inspectors are always on the road going to check and make sure that these things are getting done to spec and to law. So it's a key part. I think the interesting thing to know about this is that since it's grown, it just means that we have much more reach. And, you know, hopefully the goal is in 10 or 15 years from now, accessibility into all these different places isn't an issue anymore, or not as big as an issue. So the last thing I just want to mention, I went through everything. If you aren't a member, I would urge you to go to unitedspinal.org and sign up to be a member. And with that, I'm going to open it up to questions. It's a lot, right?
Mary Schmidt asks, how many hospitals are partnering here in Iowa, if you know?
I don't know offhand, but I can email, I'll take a note and I can email you that, Jen or Angie. And then you can share it with them. And I'll do that once I hang up, because I need to go into another program. All of that, and there's one question.
Doug Sample asked, let me go back up, because I do think it's a question that should be discussed. Does United Spinal have an official stance they advocate for regarding the privatization of Medicaid in Iowa? The MCO system has hurt. Both Doug and Kelly are watching from the same computer. And I responded to that, and we will talk about that a little bit. The Iowa chapter's advocacy committee kind of turned into Upgrade Medicaid, because we recognized that that is a huge issue for many of our members.
Yeah, so there's really no question for me.
Is there anything from the national?
I'm not the policy expert, so we would need to find out from Alex. I know in general, we're not in favor of privatization, and there's reasons for that. But in other instances, it could be beneficial. So I'm not sure of our official stance. Again, I'm not. I do membership, so I'm not 100% certain, and I don't want to mislead anyone. If you'd like, I could find out. Again, I can email Alex, and I can get you back. Let me just write this down. And I can get that back to you, and you can share it with whomever's on the call.
Yeah.
I'm not doing a very good job of answering questions, huh? I'm 0 for 2.
I hadn't realized my chat bar setting was directly to Jen when I typed that. I didn't mean to send it to everyone. It's just like, oops.
No worries.
great question. Matt, has the Wells Fargo Arena been evaluated for accessibility? Angie, do you know?
This is another one I could find out. When was that built? Do you know?
2005.
2005. It's located in Des Moines.
Oh, for 3 I am.
It's all right. You're still a rock star.
Well, and I should be able to get these answers, so I'll email everyone when we're done.
I asked because I went to a major conference. There was a over the weekend conference there 2 years ago, and I needed assistance in the restroom, and it did not. It was a wheelchair. It was labeled accessible stall. Yes, it was wider than others, but my spidey senses were saying that no, that it didn't meet code. If it did, it was just by a whiskers amount, but I'm guessing not.
So I didn't know one of my colleagues was on the phone, and she just messaged me that we have not evaluated the Wells Fargo.
That's a pretty heavily used facility in Iowa. I'm
Yeah,
guessing Angie and Shelley are there more than I am, so.
Yep, and I understand that a lot of it is, most of these, we rely on them to reach out to us. And they do that for a couple of different reasons. One, because they want to be compliant, so there's not lawsuits down the road. But I think, hopefully, more importantly, they're doing it because they want to make sure that it's accessible so they can, they're not discriminating against their potential clients, with whatever business it may be.
I did think of one thing here. Kelly had written to 3 of the different charities that were on the United's final list of possible places to look for help with funding for help with some exercise equipment. None of them even responded to her. Any suggestions on how to be more effective in pursuits like that?
So where did you get that information from our resource center?
Where did you get it from, honey?
It was a list that was emailed to me when I first joined up, was part of a large list of groups.
Uh-huh.
And she contacted 3 of them, and not even an answer back saying we can't help. Nothing.
Yeah, I guess I understand the part that you reached out to the list. Where did the list come from? United Spinal? Did our resource center send you that list?
I do believe so.
Yeah. How long ago was that? Do you know?
6 months.
Yeah. Is it possible for you to send me that list, or send it to Angie or Jen, and then one of them can send it to me, and I'll look into it with our resource center?
Yes.
We have what we call knowledge books, so there's tons and tons of information in there. So in instances like this, depending upon what you're looking for, our resource center will go in, pull that data. But there's hundreds of thousands, literally, of resources in there. So we try to keep it current, but it's not always possible. So it could be that some of those places aren't available or doing that anymore. But if you send me that list, I'll have it. I'll make sure that our resource center looks at it and updates it, and then get some type of answer back to Angie and Jen.
Great. All right. Well, thank you, Nick. We really appreciate your time today and telling us a lot more about United Spinal and how important it can be. So thank you very much. We'll get more questions to you if there's any more in the chat section that come up.
Right, and I'll try to get you these answers too. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great weekend.
Perfect. Thanks, Nick.
All right.
All right. So as you all may know that I said earlier, if you're just joining us, thank you for joining our 16th annual virtual Adaptive Living and Recreation Expo. I am Angie Holsibus. I am the chapter president. And if you did join in the middle, that was Nick Labasi from United Spinal Association, which we are a statewide organization of. We have over 300 members and growing. And just so you know, our volunteer board of directors, there's 11 of us, 8 of us are chair users. And like I said, 100% volunteer, nobody gets paid. We all just do this because we love it. So if you look around all the different people's videos and stuff, like people with these orange shirts like mine, those are all board members. So our mission is to connect individuals impacted by spinal cord injuries or disorders, including their families, caregivers, professionals, people like that. We do focus on improving the overall quality of life for our members by empowering each other to engage in active and healthy lifestyles. So this next segment, we're going to hear from all those board members. We're going to tell you a little bit about what we do here in Iowa. So I will start us off. We do try to host 3 annual events each year. Obviously, when it's not COVID, during a pandemic, we do have these in-person events. Our first one is usually in February. This is our bowling event, which always a good turnout. Everybody loves it because we all have cabin fever by then, right? In Iowa, too much snow. So we provide free event, and we have adapted bowling equipment that we bring as well. It's a very inclusive event for family and friends, and so we all just enjoy a good time. Jeff is up next to tell us about our social events.
Thanks, Angie. Yep, I am Jeff Callum. I live in Ankeny, Iowa, and I've been a board member for, I think, close to 5 years now. And I have the pleasure of talking to you guys about our social events, also known as the Eat and Greets, which is like the name implies. It's when we come together for a meal, hang out and play some different group activities or games, just to have a good time, get to know each other better, and basically kind of build a network of friends that all have one common trait, and that's having a spinal cord injury or disorder, which it's nice to have a friend who knows exactly what it is like that you're going through. That event is typically held in the fall in the Des Moines area. We have done a couple in the springtime in other parts of Iowa. When this COVID craziness is over, we do plan to expand that. We do want to try to branch out and reach more members that way. So that's something to look forward to. Something else to look forward to is this November 5th, we will be doing a virtual social event. We don't know yet exactly what we're going to do. We're kicking around some different fun ideas. But when we get that nailed down, we will send out an email to everybody. But the best way to keep track of things is follow us on social media. So if you're not doing that, please do so, and then you won't miss out on any good stuff. I believe Kimbra is up next to talk to you about our traditional expos.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kimbra Cordy. I live in Newton, and I've been a member of this association since its inception 15 years ago. I'm also a physical therapist that has worked with persons with spinal cord injury for the past 34 years. One of our main focuses each year is our annual Expo event, and it continues to be our largest event each year. It's very exciting. It's a lot of fun. So that's why we kind of tried to put this virtual event together so we can at least bring you part of the Expo event to you. We wanted to continue to bring this to you, and that's as best we could do this year with COVID. For a typical year, when we have the Expo, it's usually in August or September, and we organize a plethora of adapted recreation and sports activities, and it's an all-day event. We also invite vendors that supply information and resources on how to live successfully as a wheelchair user. Some of the usual activities that we do are archery, kayaking, hand cycling, bowling, arcade gaming, wheelchair basketball. We have a resource center, and we have at one time even done a rock wall climbing. Each year, we try to bring new activities and opportunities to our clients. It is a free event, and it's inclusive for the whole family. It's a time to come out and enjoy a free meal, meet other people that are living with spinal cord injuries, and to try new recreation and life experiences. We also have an opportunity for caregivers to meet other caregivers And we want to enjoy, and we want to have everyone come join us if you can next year. The second topic I'd like to discuss is it takes countless hours and over 9 months of planning to bring this expo to people. If you've ever been to one of our expos, you might have noticed that it takes lots and lots of volunteers to make this event successful. So we recruited volunteers from medical colleges in Iowa, friends and family members of the board, friends, neighbors of the members, anyone we can get our hands on, and many more people have helped us over the years. We want to welcome volunteers as they truly are the backbone of any nonprofit organization. So if you're interested, please contact us. We always need volunteers, and we need volunteers not just for the expo, but some of the other events we host. We also have committees that are running year-round, helping us provide resources and keep all the events and services going. We also do use the expo event to raise funds for our organization. Most of the funding goes towards the expo. However, if we have any funds left over, it also goes towards our social event and our bowling events. Thank you and welcome everyone. And Jenna, I think you're up next. Jenna, you're muted.
Here, I thought I was getting used to this whole Zoom thing. Okay, so I'm Jenna. I live in Carlisle, and I became a board member about a month ago. And I have a C67 injury from a car accident in 2008. Last year in September, 2 employees of United Spinal came to Iowa for an all-day training session so we could implement a peer mentoring program. Peer mentors are available to help individuals adapt to their new normal living with a spinal cord injury or disorder. Mentors can meet with them at hospitals, clinics, anywhere that's accessible in the community. Could even meet just virtually, especially these days with COVID. Another way we do offer peer support to our members is through our virtual peer group on Sunday evenings. This takes place over Zoom to make it more accessible to everyone across the state. Every Sunday evening at 6:45 p.m. So our next group meeting will be tomorrow evening. Details regarding these groups can be found on our website and Facebook page. There are also a couple other support groups in Iowa that are not hosted by the Iowa chapter of United Spinal, but their information can be found in the resource section of our website. And with that, Mary is going to tell us about our equipment rental program.
Hi, can you hear me? Can you? Hi, I'm lost here. Okay, my name is Mary Schmidt, and I am from Granger, Iowa, and I have been a part of the board for about 3 years. I think this would be my 3rd expo, and I kind of chair the equipment rental program. And we were lucky enough 2 years ago to actually buy a trailer, and that way we could get all of our equipment all in one spot. Now, it is in central Iowa, just north Des Moines, but if anybody is interested in renting any of the equipment, they can either go on the website, fill out the application, or they can call Angie or myself. So I think we'll go through some of the equipment that we have. Can you change? Okay. Here, this is the website, but you can also find it on our website. Individual membership, people that are members of United Spinal, it's free to rent this equipment. We like to keep it at about a 30-day rental. We do ask for a driver's license and credit card. You would never be charged anything on the credit card unless the equipment wasn't returned. You can go ahead and switch. So these are the steps of the rental process. So first, go online, choose which piece you would like to rent. You can contact either Angie or myself. Again, the credit card information, just to ensure it's returned in good condition. And then usually you'll probably work with me on to figure out how to pick it up and drop it off. Some of our pieces of equipment are huge, so we can talk about how to get it to your spot. And most of all, we just really want you to enjoy renting the equipment before you would purchase something, because a lot of stuff is expensive. We have actually 5 bicycles right now, 5 hand cycles. And I have to say, this was a great program for our family to come in and be able to try the different cycles for our son before we bought one. We ended up taking 3 different bicycles home and found, for different reasons, so they didn't work. Maybe one was just simply too slow for him and to be able to keep up with our family. Our family is very active, and we wanted him to be able to ride at our speed. Well, my speed's a little slower than the rest of them, so it worked out. He could ride with my speed. But a couple other ones, it was too hard to get all the way on the ground and transfer and get back off. So it was a great way to try the bikes and then figure out what worked best for him. And then we ordered one that has just been awesome. He can ride. We ended up throwing a motor on it, a motor assist, so it would be easier on his shoulders. And he can average about 12 to 16 miles an hour. And in fact, he got so fast, I had to put a motor assist on mine also. I couldn't keep up with him, but so it's great. And this gentleman that's on our picture right now, he borrows the bicycle, and he actually rides. It's built dam to dam, but I think they call it dam to Des Moines now. And he's really enjoyed the opportunity to use this cycle. Okay, next slide. We have 2 kayaks, which this is great opportunity. In fact, I have a pond at my house. So the lower picture here is my son and my daughter trying out the kayaks in our little pond. They have outriggers on them, so you can't tip them over. There's also it's a 2-wheeled cart, so you can load and transfer on ground and then just roll right down into the water. And it's actually really easy to pull back up also. Sometimes we use it, sometimes we don't, but this is a really fabulous opportunity to be independent in the water. And again, try them out before you go out and buy it, so that way you know which one works for you. Golfing, we have an accessible golf course. Accessible golf cart. And this is actually stored at Woodland Hills Golf Course over in Slidell. But you can, you would definitely need to call one of us, and we'll have to find out, where it is in storage and get it pulled out. But that's a nice opportunity. Bowling balls. So we have a bowling ball pusher, and then all of these balls have the retractable hand grip, which makes it very nice. It's hard to go to the bowling alley and find any ball that's 6 or 8 pounds. So you can borrow these, see how they work. Next thing. Pinball machines. Angie and her husband have put together this wonderful pinball machine where your chair can roll right under, bigger buttons, and bring out that old kid in you. For us, it was really, we were kids when that was a big deal. We have blow darts, disc golf, ladder ball, so again, any of this equipment, just give us a call. I will try to figure out how we can get it to you, like with some bigger things that planning, but smaller things. And so anyway, let us know, try the stuff out, have fun with it. And I think Jen and Shelley now are going to talk about advocacy in the state of Iowa. Thank you.
Unmute. Hi, I'm Shelley Jaspering. I live in Ames, Iowa. I've been a board member for 3 years. The advocacy, it's not a hard word, committee started because we wanted to educate our members to become their own advocates at the level they are comfortable with, self, local, national, federal, state, whatever. Our hope was to provide a basic education on the principles of advocacy and how to build working relationships with legislative offices and others to create positive change for our spinal cord injury disorder community and others in Iowa.
Unmute. I'm Jen Wolf. I'm in Waverly. I've been a board member for about 7 years, and I wanted to expand upon the role in Capitol Hill. I've been able to attend all of them except for one, where Jeff and Mary Schmidt attended, and last year Shelley went with me, and Angie has been at many of them as well. And we are hoping that more of you enjoy that opportunity in the upcoming years. It's an amazing experience. They are turning it into a grassroots advocacy network, and Iowa was one of the first 2 states to become fully orange. We've got members in every congressional district of the state, so we'll be keeping our national or our federal legislators more accountable, and we're working on that within Iowa too. It's part of the advocacy chapter. We had our first event. We started meeting around January 2019 virtually. We live all over the state. We wanted to make sure everybody had a voice that wanted to have a voice. And we had 13 wheelchair users at our first advocacy day in March of 2019. And we had a total of 21 participants, I think, that joined us in just meeting our legislators and kind of learning more about the process. Then we co-hosted last year with Iowa CCI in the Community Living and Caregiver Day, and we had over 70 people attending, which was absolutely phenomenal. That's a huge growth. We're hoping that some of you have heard of Upgrade Medicaid. It's kind of what we alluded to earlier. That was an outgrowth out of United Spinal, the Iowa chapter. Many of our members, especially quadriplegics, were dealing with issues and weren't being heard. And so we're really trying to help give all people with disabilities through Upgrade Medicaid. But I'm proud to say that the Iowa chapter is the founding partner of that alliance. And we're there just to, help empower all people with disabilities, their families, friends, caregivers, and allies, all to create change and feel like they have a voice in the process. I also want to announce that we did get a $5,000 COVID grant to help people with supplies, with money, to get through because there's problems with rent. Now we've had the derecho, which we did a separate fundraiser to. There's still some funds left for people who need it. We still have some supplies. I still have boxes of large and extra large gloves. I've still got hand sanitizer. I still have some masks. We've been sending them out 5 at a time, and ear protectors that you can put behind. I will be posting the link to the form to fill out. If you need anything, please ask. There seems like there's something else, but I'm going to let Katie take over with talking about the newsletters.
Hello, my name is Katie Johnson, and I am from Dakota City, Iowa. If you guys don't know where that is kind of the Humboldt area. If you don't know where that is, it is 25 miles north of Fort Dodge on 169. So I'm kind of up there a little bit. And we publish a quarterly newsletter featuring information about events and members throughout the state of Iowa. Articles include spotlights on members as well. Let us know what's going on your neck of the woods, and we can add that to our newsletters. And then you can contact us through our website or our Facebook page. And then speaking of contacting us, Shelly will let us know on how to connect on social media.
Me again. We want you to please follow us and share posts with your friends. Stay up to date with what's going on locally and nationally. We use these platforms to further our mission. And you may have noticed that our recent social media outreach expansion, we're trying to be a better resource for you. So we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and now YouTube, which you'll hear more about that later. They're all United Spinal at United Spinal Iowa, which is in our chat. Jen will share, except for Twitter's United Spinal IA. If you have any tips or tricks, a life hack video that you can share with us, we'd love to feature that on our YouTube channel that we just started. We also host and created Iowa Disability Equipment Swap on Facebook. It's a resource for members to buy, sell, trade their accessible medical supplies and supplies and equipment via Facebook, items, aids, those with disabilities. And Joyce is up next.
There we go. I'm Joyce Ellens. I live in Cumming, Iowa, and I've been a board member since the beginning in 2005. I'm going to keep this really quick because we've got a lot to cover in the next hour. So just encourage you to be a member. We do all these programs because of donations and fundraising, and it helps to have numbers. And even if you don't get super involved, please be a member. You can be a member of both United Spinal Association National and then our chapter. So just look up that website. And I want to give props to Jeff for helping us improve our website. So please check it out, www.unitedspinaliowa.org. And now Jen will introduce our fabulous keynote speaker. Thank you.
I have to get my notes ready. It is my honor to introduce 9-time Paralympian and Vice Chair of the Board of LA 2028, Candace Cable. She was the first woman to medal in the Summer and Winter Paralympics, Paragames. Candace is also a 6-time winner of the Boston Marathon Women's Wheelchair Division and a winner of the first 4 Los Angeles Marathons. Not only is she an accomplished para-athlete, She is also an amazing advocate and human being. She has been involved with disability rights with the United Nations, working towards improved all-inclusive disability education through social cohesion resources, where she is the CCO, improving disability emergency and disaster planning with Partnership for Inclusive Disaster Strategies, just to mention a few things. I had the pleasure of meeting Candace at the 2015 Roll on Capitol Hill, and I'm so excited for her to share her story with our chapter. Candace? Oh, before she starts, if you have any questions, make sure and put it in the chat box and we will make sure she has time to answer. Candace, it's all
Thanks,
yours.
Jen. Hey, can you hear me? Oh, excellent. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. I want to start out, my pronouns are she and her. And I'm a Caucasian woman with long brown hair, and I'm wearing a red collared shirt. I have some little silver earrings on and a necklace that's a silver peace sign that was my mother's, and it has also a little square of silver that with a shooting star that says, "If you're determined, you must go forward." And that was a gift from my sister. The background behind me is my apartment and my wall of art. It's super colorful of outdoor images. And I love where I live. I live in downtown Los Angeles, and it's a pretty vibrant place. I wanted to thank you, Jen, for asking me to be a part of this and to share some of my experiences from my sport and my advocacy in my life during your annual Adapted Living and Recreation Expo, as we all go very virtual. I have to say, I really appreciate not having to travel or wear pants, right? She and I had some conversations, and honestly, she's a mentor of mine with the work that she does in advocacy. And I learned so much from so many other people with disabilities that are working in these spaces to, create the space for opportunity for people with disabilities to empower themselves, to be a part of the world however they want to, a world that wasn't really built for any of us. And so we came up with some ideas about my athletics. They heard I had a Paralympic history, and some advocacy, and a little bit of dash of ableism, and how as an athlete, my internalized ableism was a big part of my success, because with ableism, we have a tendency to say, I'm going to make it through. I'm going to get over this. I'm going to figure it out, and that serves us to a certain point, but it also is a disservice to us in many, many ways. And it's important for me and for me to share that we have to dismantle our own internalized ableisms and then be able to go out into the world and dismantle that too, because it's a form of discrimination. And I feel like I'm a chronic overthinker, and I'm always looking for ways to create a better experience for myself, but also for my community, disabled people, as well as the world. And so, it's just little stuff, right? And I also wanted to acknowledge the moment that we're living in, because we're living through a time where I feel like the volume on ableism has been turned way up during this global pandemic. We're experiencing trauma globally together, which has never happened before. This is a moment in time where we are all making it up as we go along. And we have a real opportunity to be able to change the paradigm in a direction that supports all of us to be part of the world fully, and in whatever way we want to be a part of it. Not just what is there for me because there's a ramp and I can get in, or the piece of document is made in plain language. And we have a place in this new paradigm to be a part of, because throughout this pandemic, I personally have felt like people with disabilities are being erased. And And it has been very traumatizing on me. And I've had to do my work with that. I wanted to offer a definition of ableism from T.L. Lewis and Dustin Gibson. It's a system that places value on bodies and minds based on societal construct ideas of normalcy, intelligence, excellence, and productivity. These constructed ideas are deeply rooted in anti-Blackness, eugenics, colonialism, and capitalism. This form of systemic oppression leads to people and society determining who has value and worthy based on a person's appearance and or their ability to satisfactorily reproduce, excel, or behave. That's pretty intense, I think. You know, for me, ableism is internalized by everyone, like all of us, whether you have a disability or not. And as we all know, everybody's going to be a part of this club eventually. So it really is, you know, behooves us all to make a world where everybody has the opportunity to participate. And I think some of the ableism that we as disabled people experience is through intergenerational trauma that's been a part of the disability experience throughout centuries. And, you know, it feels like we have a lot of layers to dismantle. And for myself, I know that one of the things I think about is I'm not enough. And so that's that ableism of being so productive, right? So a little bit about me. I grew up in Southern California as a non-disabled person, and I have, you know, Caucasian, so I have white privilege. I loved being in the outdoors. I was not an athletic person before my injury, which was a spinal cord injury at the age of 21 in 1975. And pretty much lost my environmental privilege at that time. You know, having been non-disabled before, I never really thought about any place I couldn't go. And here I was in 1975, all these places that I just couldn't get into, or even couldn't even get off a sidewalk. I mean, in 1975, there weren't curb cuts, so I had to wheel in the street for a good amount of time to find another driveway to get back up on the sidewalk. And as I started to recover from my spinal cord injury, use my wheelchair for mobility, and begin to figure out how to redefine myself, I was going to California State University, Long Beach, and I met people with disabilities at the Disabled Student Services, and they were getting involved in sport. And I, you know, I hadn't been involved with sport before, but I thought, well, I want to hang out with these people. I want to figure out how they do this, like, how do they deal with it? And I need a community. I wanted to feel part of a world again, and they were defining some sports. One of them was wheelchair racing. And, you know, when I talk about my athletic career that Jen talked about, thank you so much, of 27 years as a Paralympic athlete, I think about the idea that it's a little bit like the 8,000 meter peaks in the world. There's 14 of them. And if you summit one of them, that's a pretty big deal. And if you summit all 14, that's outrageous. And very few people have done that. And I think about my Paralympic career as someone who has summited all the 14,000 meter peaks in Paralympic sport, because I was successful in so many ways. I won 84 marathons because wheelchair racing was really one of my like premier places that I loved. And I became the first woman, this one I'm really proud of. I mean, I'm proud of the whole thing, but I'm really proud of this, is I became the first woman to medal in both winter and summer Paralympic Games, but I did it in the same year because in 1992, the Olympic and the Paralympic Games and the winter and summer games were held still in the same year. So winter would happen and then summer would happen. And after 92, they changed that. Winter was in 94, summer was 96. So they were 2 years apart now. So that's one of those things, as an athlete, no one's ever going to be able to break that, which is kind of cool because most world records and things get destroyed. So wheelchair racing was being invented in the 70s. And with road racing, we wanted to be a part of the running races. And one of the things with the running races was that there was no wheelchair division. And we needed to create a division. So what we did was we formed an organization called the International Wheelchair Road Racers Club. We wrote guidelines for race directors on how to integrate a wheelchair division into their program. And then we traveled all over the country bringing this forward and creating these divisions. And that was the beginning of my advocacy. That was where I really learned about how I could create systemic change in an area that I wanted to be a part of, but I also wanted to make sure that everybody else that was going to wheelchair race could be a part of. And I wanted to create some equity in it. I didn't do it by myself. I did it with other people, but it really gave me a taste of how I could change or flip the script about disability and integration, as well as from a negative stereotype about a really bad thing and your life is over when it happens, to a place where it doesn't matter what happens in your life. You know, if there are opportunities out there, there are options, and opportunities are out there through advocacy. And one of the things that I began to develop throughout was my program called Understanding Disability, which is a part of Social Cohesion Resources. And these programs help dismantle the fear around disability and demystify it for non-disabled people so that they can become allies in our movement towards creating access and inclusion for everyone. And there's a lot of anxiety around disability, and I wanted to be able to try to dismantle that. So as I'm looking at my clock, I see that my time is ticking down, and I want to leave with a couple of ideas around calls to action for yourself. With ableism, it's our own internalized ableism. It's something that we have to intentionally work on. And I know that dismantling it in myself is going to be a never-ending story. It's always going to be popping up. And so I have to intentionally pay attention to when my bias or my internalized ableism pops up and question it without judgment and being gentle on myself. Always knowing that it's okay that I made a mistake. And, you know, I'm not going to get canceled because I made a mistake. I'm going to own my mistake and I'm going to fix it and change it. And that's a critical piece in being able to create advocacy in my own life, but also out in the world, because I have to be able to see it in myself, you know, where I'm making mistakes, and then be able to articulate that out so that I can help other people not make the same mistakes. We live in a democracy, which is a full participation sport, as I feel. And so I want to, you know, I want to encourage all of us to think of ways that we can participate as we go forward in this democracy through our advocacy and changing the paradigm that we're living in right now, and being able to create more opportunities for people to feel like they can make an impact and participate. I wanted to close with something that Chadwick Boseman said, and I'm so sad that he passed away. And it's really interesting how deeply it's affecting me. I just feel the loss in so many ways for so many people in having role models and having the opportunity to see themselves out there and the possibility of being something. So he graduated from Howard University and he made a commencement speech. And so I wanted to read this and to honor him here, because I think it's a part of all of our journeys. So he said, "This day, when you have reached the hilltop and you are deciding on the next jobs, next steps, careers, further education, you would rather find purpose than a job or career. Purpose crosses disciplines. Purpose is an essential element of you. It is the reason you are on the planet at this particular time in history. Your very existence is wrapped up in the things you are here to fulfill. Whatever you choose for a career path, remember, the struggles along the way are only meant to shape you and your purpose. I don't know what your future is, and if you are willing to take the harder way, the more complicated one, the one with more failures at first than successes, the one that has ultimately proven to have more meaning, more victory, more glory, then you will not regret it. Now, this is your time. I love you. Chadwick Boseman. And I really do believe that advocacy is a purpose. And whatever form it takes, you can bring that forward and make a difference in not just your life, but other people's lives. And I just want to say Wakanda forever. Thank you.
I'm a little bit teary myself. Thank you, Candace. Does anybody have any, I guess to keep things moving along, we're just, this is such great, such a great space to share with everybody. I think we're going to jump along. But if anybody has questions or want to get connected with Candace, we can help facilitate that. So I just
and Jen, you can share my email. I'm fine with that, and I'm on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. I'm always bouncing around all over the place.
She is a little bit, has her feelers everywhere, which is awesome. Thank you for being in this space with us today, Candace. Very, very motivational.
Thank you for having me, really. Everything that you all are doing and that other organizations are doing with United Spinal and others is so critical. It is just so important, and each of us, we're needed. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Candace. Part of the things that Candace is able to do and the rest of us is due to the Americans with Disabilities Act. It has opened up a world of accessibility to all of us. And so for those of you who don't know, this year, last month, July 26th, was the 30th anniversary of the ADA. So yay, this is so exciting. We're so excited for that to be a reality for all of us. And obviously there's room for improvement in everything. But what has been accomplished in the last 30 years is pretty awesome too. So we are going to watch a video with Senator Tom Harkin. I was honored to meet Senator Harkin in 2009 when I was Miss Wheelchair Iowa. He's a very, very kind man who's very interested in all the accessibility projects happening. We do appreciate his lifelong work, and I do mean lifelong. He's been doing this since he was young, just advocating for people's disabilities rights and accessing life. So I was thinking about the ADA being signed 30 years ago. I was 7, so kind of aging myself, but I really didn't know how the world was different back then. As a kid, you just kind of don't realize all the differences. Like everybody's everybody, it doesn't matter. But anyway, I appreciate that the ADA is a law and continues to improve each year as we advocate for ourselves and others. And that's another reason we have the advocacy committee at Iowa chapter, because we know how important it is for people to improve their quality of life. So speaking of advocacy, Jen is going to take it away.
In 2012, at the first roll on Capitol Hill, I had the honor of helping United Spinal recognize Senator Harkin as the inaugural Senate recipient of the United Spinal's Disability Champion Award. Visiting his office every year was always the highlight of going, because they just get it. He retired in 2015, but not really. That same year, he started the Harkin Institute for Public Policy and Citizen Engagement at Drake University, where he continues to impact policy work. He is always on the move, speaking on disability and other policy issues worldwide. As fellow Iowans, we are extremely proud to show this video about the ADA complex rehab technology, which is our wheelchairs, by Senator Harkin. Let me screen share here. Okay, I don't know if the sound is going to work, so let me know.
Hi, I'm retired Senator Tom Harkin. On July the 26th of this year, our country is celebrating 30 years of commitment to creating equal opportunities for individuals living with disabilities through the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA. When the ADA was passed in 1990, its intent was clear. No American living with a disability should be discriminated or held back from living the life they wanted to pursue based on a medical diagnosis or a disability. Employment, transportation, accessibility, and communication would be protected and held to a standard that not only supported but encouraged individuals of every level of ability to achieve their goals. More than that, the ADA recognized the need for all of us to understand and respect the differences in one another and allowed us to celebrate how those differences, great or small, make us stronger when we all work together. A lot has been accomplished in 30 years, but there is still a lot of work to be done. This is especially true for individuals with disabilities that require complex rehab technology. Now, complex rehab technology includes specialized wheelchairs, seating systems, and other adaptive equipment used by people with disabilities. These items are much different than the standard durable medical equipment, because each piece is designed for use by one person and one person only. They are configured to fit their body and their specific functional and medical needs to maximize their independence and reduce their health care costs. That means they can go to school, get to work, be involved parents, remain an active part of their community, and take advantage of all the other promises built within the ADA. So as we celebrate this milestone anniversary this year, we must remember that the ADA is an unfulfilled promise for many people if they do not have access to the complex rehab technology they require. The Americans with Disabilities Act is a civil rights bill, and it provides for equal rights for people with disabilities. But without proper supports, these individuals can't enjoy those civil rights the same as all other Americans. Policy changes and payment cuts in federal and state and private health insurance programs have had negative impacts to access when they don't take into consideration the unique nature of these specialized products, the people who utilize them, or the process by which they're provided. For that reason, I encourage Congress and federal and state policymakers to take needed actions to ensure that people with disabilities have adequate access to complex rehab technology in order to uphold the full intent and promise of the ADA.
Angie, how do you want to go forth from here, just because of the timing?
Go ahead and do the ADA, what
Okay.
the ADA means.
We thought this would be a good opportunity to talk about what the ADA means to us and some of our members. For those who don't know about it, we hope you're motivated to learn more. For me, the ADA it's kind of the first step in the civil rights for people with disabilities. So people with disabilities got out of their wheelchairs and actually crawled up the Capitol steps, which helped get the public attention to get this act passed in the first place. You know, how powerful is that? You know, it laid the groundwork for making the US more accessible so we can participate in the community rather than being isolated to our homes or institutes. It was the first step in what needs to happen. Joyce?
Yes, I'm Joyce, and I think I was in high school when the ADA passed, and before my career as a recreation therapist, and now I'm a voc rehab specialist. So I work with disabled veterans with employment. I think just quickly that the ADA is important because of employment. It helps to kind of break down barriers for employers to hire people with disabilities. There's great benefits to that, and that we sort of have like a safety net that we can advocate for people in employment to say that they are valued, they're worthwhile, hard workers, might need some minor accommodations, but it's very important to have that as a safety net to really advocate for people to be productive in the community. Was I supposed to introduce somebody? Sorry.
Miss Jenna.
Okay.
Is that me? All right. I just wanted to say how much more than a civil rights law it is. It enables us to pursue the experiences that we're passionate about, things that feed our soul. And for me, it's always been experiencing live music with my loved ones. So without regulations on the minimum number of accessible seats there are at an event venue, post-injury, I wouldn't be able to be involved in those things at all anymore. And it would just be a further robbery of the pursuit of our passions. So I'm sorry for getting emotional on you, but spinal cord injury and disorders takes away so much of who we are and what we can do. And the ADA is one of the few things that gives us the right to access those things.
Thanks, Jenna. Thanks, Jen and Joyce, too, for sharing your thoughts on ADA. I think we're all very thankful that we've got that. Next, we want to share a short video with you from one of our chapter members, Evan Schultz. He is a talented artist, as you'll see in this video. While you're watching the video, if you have any questions for Evan, please type those in the chat. He will be here live after the video to answer any questions you might have.
Hi, I'm Evan, and I like to paint, and here's some of the tools I use. I use a cuff, a universal cuff, to slide in paintbrushes and change different paintbrushes. I have a helper twice a week So that's when I usually get help painting. So I like to think of all I need to make sure I use most of the time. I put my paints into this type of tray, and then I can use my brush to mix them up on like this background. I put a cuff onto this little pitcher, and that's how I do some of these pouring things. If you find any cool stuff to attach to a cuff that will help you, that is cool. Do whatever works. Use stuff around the house. I use a color wheel back here to make sure I know what colors go together and what paints mix to make different colors. I use this on tie-dyeing too. I'll put a shower curtain on the floor and then a shirt or something and kind of pour onto it. Even though it's not tie-dyeing, I still color it by myself. So those are some of the things that I use to paint. If you use an easel or you look up YouTube for mouth painting or anything like that, if you utilize those tools. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Evan, and I'm thinking I'm supposed to be talking right now.
Angie asks how long you've been painting.
Oh, like 10 years, I'd say. And I'm a white male with glasses, and I'm eating sugared ginger. I started doodling only and stuff when I was in like 2010. When I was growing up in high school and stuff, I never really messed with it. And then now I just like to put colors onto things. I'm very thankful for this group and for times I get help with some CDAC hours I'm very grateful for, and time that if I don't go to the bathroom certain mornings and stuff, I utilize that extra time to paint. So it's a lot of fun painting with helpers because it's always kind of a team project. So I try to look at that as an opportunity. And I try to prep my time so that I paint as much as I can. So I use, like I said in the video, so I use all the time I can. So looking forward to a day, I try to think of what I want to do on the day I get the opportunity. I like it. It's fun.
And Mary asks, do you sell your artwork?
Yeah, I do. I haven't sold a lot of paintings actually, but not for sale right now. They're supposed to be involved in the Waukee Art Festival. That got canceled, so that was sad, but no, not right now.
And you do post it on Facebook.
Yeah, I post my art on Facebook. I have a separate little page that I can write in the chat.
Yeah, if you would put it in the chat, and then we'll add it so people can have that link in the email that goes out after.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Any other questions?
I think that's it. Thank you, Evan, for sharing your talent.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, up next, we're pleased to have Michelle and Autumn join us from New Cara Medical to tell us about their programs and services. Like other presenters, if you have any questions, type them in the chat box and we'll get them answered for you. So go ahead, Michelle and Autumn.
Thank you guys so much for having us and inviting us into your guys' group here today. It's been a pure treat to listen to all of you. I'm going to try to share my screen here, so I'm hoping that I'm successful in doing that.
Beautiful.
Can you guys see my screen here? I'll try to blow it up a little bit so you don't have to see what's coming next. So again, I'm Autumn Klein, and then I have Michelle Willenborg here with me. I've worked here for 7 years. Michelle's been here for about 5 years. Here's our direct contact information. So we're going to kind of tag team this a little bit, kind of go back and forth. We have New Carroll Home Medical is based here out of Iowa, and we have 30 different locations in 5 different states. We do have 12 home medical sites. That's who Michelle and I work for, is our home medical division here in Iowa. And then of the other locations, of those 30, are pharmacy locations. We do retail pharmacy as well too, as well as a number of other services. So we really offer kind of a continuum of care around all aspects of home health services. I'm going to kind of touch on what is important to you guys in the spinal cord community today, since we have limited time. So I'm going to kind of touch on some of our rehab services that we do here at New Carroll Home Medical. We do complex power chair systems. Sometimes we do a bad job of letting everybody know of all the resources that we do here in our community. We are still a locally owned and operated, even though we do have quite a few locations, kind of a mom and pop company. So you're going to see here we do anything from that cute little kiddo that's down there in the corner to adults, to geriatrics as well too. And we carry all different types of power chairs and seating systems as well. I get a lot of questions asked around that, about what manufacturers we carry. Permobile, Quantum, Invacare, the Rovi. We carry quite a few in our formulary. So of course, standard power chair systems. So your very basic joystick drive systems, not much seating obviously, that can be adapted on this type of chair. We do rent these type of chairs on occasion as well too, depending on kind of product ebbs and flows. Sometimes we have quite a few that we can rent out. Sometimes our inventory is all out, and we'll have to send you on to another resource. We try to be a good partner within the community amongst other people that do very similar services. So if we don't have it and don't carry it, we try to connect you with somebody in the community that does, to be a resource that way as well. Scooters, all different types of scooters, from things that are very portable to things. The newest one actually is this little white guy here. It's got a little 0 turn radius on it. Ultra lightweight chairs, or K5 chairs, again for both pediatrics and adult versions of those chairs. We do carry the Tie-Lite, ProSpin, amongst a number of other types of ultra lightweight chairs as well too. Rehab styled shower chairs. And then this is more importantly, our rehab service. These are the individuals that would add equipment, work with individual too that is having a need for that type of this is service here. We kind of have it spot up in the northwest corner currently. But Melissa Clue is our ATP, and she's the director of our rehab services. So you'll see her picture there. She supports all of our ATPs and all of our technicians here in the state of Iowa. We do have coordinators, so a lot of them are on the road a lot, attending evals. If somebody's chair is breaking down, they're going out and doing the repair. So we have somebody that's this internally way. If you're having an issue with your chair, it breaks down and you have a more immediate need and you need to get a hold of somebody, Sarah Estes, and I know a lot of this is real small, so I'm happy to send this to Angie or Jen or any of you guys after this, but she's kind of our internal person that takes phone calls and helps to manage actually all the paperwork. If somebody needs a new chair, she works with the physicians a lot as well too. So she's kind of our coordinator. So I'm going to pass the baton real quick over to Michelle Willenborg, and she's going to talk to you about our respiratory services.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much. And yes, so respiratory services, We will start with our non-invasive ventilator program that we have. We do use 2 different types, Astral and Trilogy, and we're supported by both of the manufacturers across the board. As you can see, the ventilator usage for patients in wheelchairs that are requiring any ventilation usage during the day, we're able to accommodate that. So not only the chair portion of that, but the ventilator use as well. And then at night, you know, using that non-invasive ventilator at night, we have the support of our respiratory team. They work closely with the end user, patient, caregiver, as well as the provider, and just providing information and assessment, clinical data that's gathered in the home, working with discharge planners if it's something that's coming out of the hospital. So our respiratory team is part of that. We also provide airway clearance. This is actually our AFO vest that we have used, and again have quite a bit of support from the manufacturer. This particular vest can be found in 7 different sizes, and it has 9 different settings on it. It's like having 9 respiratory therapists beating on you for airway clearance. It's very mobile. It's not connected to a compressor, so you can put it on and you can be mobile with that. Really good for either anyone that's in school or that is actually in the working environment. Cough assist. As you can see, this is a mechanical device. This is going to stimulate coughing by gradually introducing some big breaths just to get that diaphragm and those lungs working so that you can administer some airway clearance that way. And then Autumn will take care of the medical supply piece of this.
So medical supplies, again, we do a plethora of things, but I'm only going to focus on a few things for you here today. You know, we do urological supplies, slide boards, hospital beds, both manual ones and powered ones. Support surfaces too, like low air loss mattresses. I know I don't have that on that list. I accidentally left it off, I guess, as I was making this. Again, we do so many things, I forget sometimes everything that we do. Patient lift or Hoyer lifts, commodes, stool risers. Those are just some of the medical supplies that we do. I'm going to turn it back over to Michelle on our home modification services.
So we have our own team of home modification guys and girls. They are CAC certified, that's Certified Environmental Assessment consultants. So they will go in and assess the environment, and that is a free service that we provide. We can do grab bars, so any bathroom safety, you know, either remodels or just doing some grab bars to keep from falling in the shower. As you can see, we have a 0 entry for easy access into the shower. We can do that. We can provide vertical platform lifts, as well as ramps. So you can see here we have the aluminum ramp. We can also customize a wood ramp. So these services are, you know, anything from the home entrance and then within your home, in your bathroom, in your kitchen. And then, you know, we also do, as I mentioned, that free in-home consultation. Those are installed by our trained consultants. We have local support and service. And then on occasion, we will have a rental ramp and stair lift programs available, just depending on quantity, you know, whether or not we have the stock for those. But we can talk all day about home modification, and I know we're limited here. So what we've done is we've added in our brochures. Here you're going to see our general use, our general services brochures. It's going to walk you through respiratory home modification and mobility, touching on just a little bit of everything we do. We've added in our home modification as well. As you can see, home modification department, there's a phone number there. Rachel is our coordinator for that service that we provide. Her phone number and email are there in the middle. And
one thing I want to touch on, can I jump in real quick, Michelle, on these department phone numbers? So you're going to see here the home modifications department has their own number. Rachel supports them, like Michelle was saying. And then we also have that rehab service component where Sarah Estes supports that team. So a lot of times when you call into any of our 12 locations, what you're going to get if you dial just our main location, is our frontline customer service team. A lot of times then they will transfer you to these specialized teams that do more of our complex services. But what's nice is we do have published numbers for both Sarah Estes and our home modifications department, where you can actually reach out to them directly and just bypass, you know, all of our customer service teams. So these numbers are like your true people that know the details, ins and outs, insurance coverage, you know, if we have any rentals in stock. Sometimes with our general customer service team, you know, they have to know the whole gamut of what we do here at New Carroll Home Medical. So we always like to give out their direct numbers, because sometimes we never want to get somebody tossed around a bunch of different places through our customer service team. So I'll turn it back to you, Michelle.
All right, thank you. No, and that's a really good point. And again, we're just showing you more of that home modification brochure. Here we have a list of all of our locations. You will see that 9 of them are what we formerly were known as Hammer Medical Supply. We have our legacy home medical supply there. Nevada, Cedar Falls, and Waterloo are new to us as the New Cara team, you know, pharmacy side of it, and the New Cara HME side joined forces with Hammer Medical. So we're really growing. Again, more pharmacy information. So continuum of care, like Autumn said, we have the pharmacy side, the HME side, the home modification side. So we really can get in there and get every one of your needs taken care of. Here, showing you more where our pharmacies are. On the map, you can see HME locations designated with a green, and then our pharmacy locations designated in blue. And then on the back side, you will find each location's address, phone number, and fax, and the city that they can be found in. And I think that, yep, that was the end. So thank you.
Anybody have any questions that we can answer in regards to medical equipment? If I can stop sharing.
All right, let me see. They are wondering if, Shelley, can a shower chair be tested out?
Absolutely. So we did provide in that first slide, Michelle and I's direct contact information. So if you guys ever want to, you know, sometimes depending on how specialized it is, sometimes we'll have to bring it in from our manufacturer. So sometimes that can take a little bit of time, you know, for us to gather the information and then reach out to them and then get in if it's a real specialized piece of equipment. But absolutely, we encourage that with any type of complex rehab piece of equipment, you know, to try that out, whether it even be a chair or you know, a Hoyer lift, any of those types of pieces of equipment. I always strongly, we could do it with your therapist there, you know, your aide there. Since we can't physically as suppliers, you know, touch people for liability reasons, of course, a lot of times we'll help, Michelle and I too will help to coordinate with that with somebody that you may be working with, you know, either in the home, you know, or your therapist. So don't hesitate to reach out to either one of us, and we're happy to be a resource for you.
Travis continues on that and asks, has anyone had luck getting a shower chair covered by insurance? That's always a tricky one.
It is. It really is. And that's where we dive in on our side. Now, the rehab shower chairs that we actually showed, those are covered by insurance. If it is something that is just general or basic, we won't see Medicare pay for those, but some Medicaids might pay for those. It really just depends. And that's where we have to dig in a little deeper on what insurance coverage primary and then secondary is. But we'll bring in our team, you know, definitely working on those rehab shower chairs and be able to answer those questions before we would walk forward and let you know that you wouldn't have any surprises.
Another thing that I really encourage for you guys as well too is another service that we can provide for you is Michelle and I work hand in hand with the therapist or the doctor. The most important piece of the process is making sure all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted on documentation. So on those notes that are going to be sent in for prior authorization, let's say through insurance, it's so important that everything has been, you know, justified in that letter of medical necessity. And we have so many different like forms and different things that we're happy to that process.
And I think the last question was if you carry ceiling lifts.
We do not carry ceiling lifts anymore. We used to.
Thank you so much for your explanation of everything you carry. I think a lot of our members will take advantage of that. We'll be sharing your information with everybody, and just thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks again for having us.
Thanks for having us.
All right, and here's Katie to introduce our next segment.
All right, so let's take a comedy break and hear from a fellow member, Clay. So type your question or comments in the chat box and he'll answer a couple of them after the presentation. And if your question doesn't get answered just like previously, then we will get back to them and answer them later. So take it away, Clay.
Clay, you're on mute.
You're still on mute.
Got it. Now, sorry about that. I'm kind of illiterate when it comes to technology. Hello there. For the sake of time, I know I only have a few minutes, so I'm going to keep this brief. Exactly how long am I going to chat? Depends. Anyway, I am Clay the comedian. All the ladies call me Hot Wheels. Those who know me best call me Good Times, and you know what they say, let the good times roll. Anyway, I am a C4 incomplete quadriplegic. I am currently working on my music career. I was going to be a stand-up comedian, but I can't stand up. Then I was going to be a crossing guard, but I thought it looked kind of silly sitting in the middle of an intersection with a big sign that says walk. So then I thought, what's a good way for a guy in a wheelchair to make some extra cash? So I threw a bunch of flour and water all over the ground. Then I was rolling in the dough. But, you know, I actually tried that online dating once. I was filling out my profile. 44-year-old man has a job, not a home. I have my wheels. I enjoy line dancing, kickboxing, and long walks on the beach. None of which I can do, but I enjoy them. So, ideal first date. I figure we'd meet somewhere for some intimate meals on wheels. And then I would start off by explaining to you I didn't pull your chair out like a perfect gentleman. Quite frankly, it's because I do unto others. I'd hate for someone to pull my chair out. Anyway, like I said, I've been working on my music career. Perhaps you've heard, you're a fine looking cripple, won't you back that chair up? Back that chair up, back that chair up. No? Am I the only one that's heard that? How about unbreak my heart? What wrong one? Unbreak my neck. Say I walk again. No, not the only. This one should be our theme song. I think you'll all sing along to this. Blame it all on my chair. I'm sorry about that. Blame it all on my chair. I can't use the stairs, but then I've been there before. Everything's all right. This wheelchair sure bites, but it sure beats crawling across the floor. I really don't mean to sound so obscene. Just wait till I finish this song. And dear everybody, you just might find yourselves singing along. 'Cause I got friends that roll places with wheelchair ramps and our own parking spaces. Oh, I've got friends that roll places. Anyway, everywhere I go, people are always asking me, hey, Clay, how long you been in the chair? So I tell them, since about 10 o'clock this morning. How long you been in the spandex, Chunky? And they're like, no, man, I mean, what happened? Were you born like that? I said, if I was born like this, my mom would have had a heck of a time pushing this chair out. And they're like, oh, come on, wise guy. All right, how do you ask? What's your diagnosis? You got me now. Quad, please, you see my toes. I can't feel those. But actually, I wrote a poem about it. It goes, this can't be right. This cannot be. How could this have happened to me? I chose to drive intoxicated. I should have called. I should have waited less than a mile and I would have been home. If only I would have used the phone, but I chose to drive while I was drunk, overcorrected and flipped my truck. All I saw next was ER ceiling below my chest. I had no feeling, a tube in my stomach, a trach in my throat. I truly pray you're taking some notes. Turned out to be a C4 fracture exploded to my skull as I laid in traction. He'll never walk again, the doctor said. If only I would have used my head. Well, thank you, Jesus, I'm still alive. Take it from me, y'all. Don't drink and drive. Last but not least, I've been living in this nursing home now for just over 3.5 years. It's crazy what you get used to. People with all kinds of mental illnesses, screaming profanities at all hours of the night, you know, trying to escape, slobber and slinging BM, and that's just the staff. But I plan on busting out of here. You know how I'm going to do it? Yeah, I'm going to take my chair to the Crow Creek Road. I'm going to roll up this nursing home. Well, I got into a wreck, went and broke my neck. I said, what the heck, but I ain't finished with me yet. Riding in a chair, soaring every year. I've been living here for way too many years now. Can somebody help me with something? Can't help me with nothing. Started getting fatter, infections in my bladder. I peed on her steady. You can go and ask her. Life can get real loopy, bandages and poopies. Cause nobody moves me. I got sores all on my booty. Can somebody help me with something? Can't help me with. Yeah, I'm gonna take my chair to the Crow Creek Road. I'm gonna roll out this nursing home. Wheel around this town, living life without a frown. Spend a lot of money on my new flannel nightgown. Betty's got a habit, let's just say she pushes me around. Roll to the end of the block and then I spin around. Got real fat and a sore butt crack. I'm like Walmart man, cause I roll on back. Now I roll on back to that Crow Creek Road. I'm gonna roll up this nursing. Yeah, I'm gonna, here we go. Anyway, I would love to continue on and on and on, but I'm going to roll on. Anyway, if there's any questions, comments, concerns, you can look me up on Facebook, Clay the Comedian. If you go to YouTube, just put in Crow Creek Road and that entire song is on there. Otherwise, I'm going to make like a baby and head out. Go ahead. Thank you, Heidi Kreiner.
Lots and lots of great comments and hilarious.
Thank you. That's how I roll other than this wheelchair.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So much talent within our membership. It's so fun to be able to see it. So taking advantage of this virtual world.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Autumn time.
Thank you for sharing your time and your talent. We
Thank you very
are,
much for inviting me.
yeah. And next up is Jeff is going to introduce the next presentation.
Thank you, Jen, and thank you very much, Clay. That was great. Next, here to talk about his experience of hosting TED Talks and being a participant in multiple marathons is Dean. Take it away, Dean.
Hey guys, everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Perfect. And I don't think it's very fair to put me after Clay. That was that was great. As a guy who appreciates a really good dad joke, Clay, I'm gonna steal a couple of those and torment my daughters. But hi, I'm Dean. I'm from the Martinsdale area, so just south of Des Moines, about 20 minutes. And father of 3 daughters, 48. I'm a T5 complete after a hay bale fell off my tractor about 8.5 years ago. And I don't know, how do you follow up some of the speakers that have gone already. But it's interesting, as I was listening to some of the most recent conversations about the ADA law and so on, I can't help but to think of how my accident has actually opened up a lot of doors for me, which might sound really bizarre. But as was mentioned, I've had an opportunity to take a skill with some public speaking that I typically would perform as a part of my profession as an IT computer programming professional, and stand in front of crowds and do presentations about our work, and found a way to transition that into the journey that the last 8.5 years has really brought forward with me. And along those lines, ended up being lucky enough to be selected to do a TED Talk about that journey. And I know for me, simply attending a TED event where you have so many inspiring conversations going on, let alone be on stage, was crazy. Just crazy, just one of those things. But I think the interesting thing that really is the point of where I think things have been open doors for me is that I found a way, through support of so many other people, to just take each day little by little and focus on me, and very selfishly, and that's not meant to be ignoring others, but I'm so thankful that I've been able to find a way to work on what I need to work on to progress, and not worry about comparing myself to others in terms of what they're able to accomplish. So what, I'm in a wheelchair. So what, I can't walk. I've also done a Boston Marathon. So what, right? So I think there's ways to find a way to accept the reality of what I'm in, and then blow the doors off everything and just go achieve as much as I want to achieve. And so, if you get a chance, I saw the link got put into the conversation. If you have 12 minutes of your day to watch the TED Talk and understand my story, you'll find out that it really comes down to a general approach that I have with only taking into account the things that I'm going after, and not worrying about how well somebody else does with them. And I use the idea of my participation in marathons to speak to that. So as I start working through the things that I work on, as an example, I know that some of my friends are the best in the world in their wheelchair racing. I mean, world record holders that I can call friends, luckily. And if I try to do what they are trying to do, there's no way that I would even go after. And in fact, if I was walking, I wouldn't be running a marathon. I can promise you that. But just knowing that I can get a little bit better every day, and I can focus on myself a little bit every day, and not worry about what everybody else is doing. I think over time, I start to gain some momentum in terms of how I can continue to achieve what I need to achieve. And as a result, the story is about racing, if you will, but it's really more about how I can be a better parent and a better teammate and a better husband. There's so many things that I think, even in today's world with the pandemic, that are applicable. that it's just a real easy thing for me to do, to simply stop worrying about what everybody else is doing. Stop worrying about if somebody's going to like what I posted on Facebook or somebody's going to respond a certain way. I'm going to take care of me. And as a result, I think I can be a better person for everybody else in that matter. And so, maybe just one more thing before I wrap up. As I've been doing more and more podcasts lately and speaking to people, one of the things that keeps coming up about the pandemic, and I kind of want to challenge folks a little bit on the call, that, this thing didn't ask for our permission. And just like our injuries didn't ask if it was okay for that to happen, it just happened. I didn't ask for gravity to be invented by Isaac Newton. I should blame him, right? And have a hay bale fall on and snap my spine. But it's happened. And so COVID has happened. And I think it would be a huge mistake if we sit around and wait any longer to get some things accomplished. It would be a shame if we wake up 3 or 4 months from now and realize 10 months have passed and we haven't accomplished anything. And so even though COVID has arrived and hasn't asked our permission to get going on things, you also don't have to wait for permission to go do things. So as an example, I had certainly cut down a lot of my race training because all of the marathons were canceled this year. But we still went out and did a workout today. And as much as things have been scaled back, my challenge to you is don't lose ground just because of this pandemic. Certainly you have to wear a mask, and I totally get that. But find those things that you've been wanting to do and go after them. And so with that, certainly share my information, Jen, if you will. And if people want to talk and get a little more in depth and simply just want somebody to talk to about how to get unstuck, reach out, and I'll be glad to get engaged. But thanks again for having me today.
Thank you so much for sharing, and I hope people take the opportunity to watch the TED Talk and get in contact with you, because you're one of those motivators that show what you can do.
Anytime.
All right, here's Shelley to introduce Easter seals.
Hello, we're pleased to have Jennifer here to represent Easter Seals to tell us about the programs and services. And like other presenters, just post your questions in the chat and we'll get those answered. Go ahead,
Give
Jennifer.
me a minute to switch the screen. There we go.
Hello, my name is Jennifer and I'm with the Easter Seals Iowa Assistive Technology Program. I'm going to talk to you today about our services, just what we offer. So let me see if I can share my screen here. Okay, hopefully you all can see that. Let me know if you can't. Okay, perfect. So again, I'm with Easter Seals Iowa, and we are the state assistive technology implementing entity for the state of Iowa. So that means that we serve all ages in all 99 counties of Iowa. The services that we provide are, first of all, information and referral. So if you have any questions about any device, how it works, if you see a commercial on TV and you're like, I wonder what this is all about, you can give us a call. We can let you know what we know about it. If we don't know about it, we can help do research for you and look it up. And then we also have our demonstration center where you can schedule an appointment and you can look at all of the devices that we have in our lending library. We have over 1,000 devices that range from daily living to sports and recreation, mobility, all these different options for you. And so the demonstration center is really nice because you can come and compare and contrast different options for free. And then if you find something you like, you are able to take that home for free for 30 days. Give it a shot, see how you like it, how it does at home, work, whatever setting you're going to use it in. And then after the 30 days, if you end up liking it, then we can help you look for purchase options. So whether that's private pay or if we need to look into other funding streams, we can work with you to find the funding stream that'll work best for you. There is our durable medical equipment loan program as well. So we have all of the assistive technology devices, and then we also have durable medical equipment available. And all of this durable medical equipment is donated to us, and then we sanitize, refurbish, and then we loan it back out into the community. So if you have a piece of durable medical equipment that you're not using anymore, then please think of us to donate it to so we can refurbish it and get it out into the community. And if you are needing a piece of durable medical equipment, we loan those out for a nominal fee, a one-time fee, and you can keep it for as long as you need it. So whether it's a short-term thing or several years, you can keep it as long as you need it. We just ask that when you're done with it, if you could donate it back to us so that we can keep refurbishing and loaning it back out to the community. And so with that, we also have our AT exchange as well. So if you have a piece of medical equipment that you're not ready to donate, but you want to try to sell, we have a website where you can post it. And the best way to kind of describe that is kind of like a Craigslist for durable medical equipment. So we host the site, but you make your own post, you list your price, all of the information about it, and then other people can reach out to you directly if they want to buy it. So those are all of our services. I am going to take you to our AT for All site so you can see how this works. So let's make sure you can see that. So this is our Assistive Technology Center website. So here you can see all of the items that we have available for loan through our lending library program. So again, there are several different categories and classifications. So if we just go here, and if you are looking at, oh, let's say, communication devices, and then go to search. So here you can see everything that we have to assist in communication. And some of these are categorized a little bit differently, like there's some magnifiers that come up with this. But you can also do a more specific search. So if you are looking specifically for, looks like I looked up alarm last time. So if you are looking for some sort of alarm, you can pull up all of the alarms that we have available. And as you can see, we have several to just compare and contrast. So if we click on one of them here, so this is our Med Center for Alarm Talking Reminder Clock. And it'll just give you some brief information about it, pictures, the manufacturer's website, how much it is to purchase. And then if you wanted to request a loan, it's really simple. You just go down here to request loan, and that will prompt you to create just a user profile, which is just basic information, your name, best way to contact you. And then we can either mail those out to you, or you can pick them up if you're in the Des Moines area, because we are located in Des Moines, Iowa. But we can easily mail those to you, whatever works best for you. And that's just a great way, again, to try things for free for 30 days and see if they're actually going to work for you before you spend the money on it, because we know that assistive technology can get very expensive. And so we don't want you to spend your money on something and then end up not using it. So this is an excellent option for that. And that's, again, why our demonstration center is really nice, because then we can pull all the different options we have, and right there you can compare and contrast before taking it home. So yeah, those are our services. I'll go back to my PowerPoint here. So there's our website right there, and I can type that in the chat as well if that's helpful. Our toll-free number we have just a general email which will go to our team. We try to be very responsive with that. So you should hear back from us within a day or two if you email that email address. And then my information as well. Are there any questions or anything I can help address?
Jennifer, go ahead and type the AT for All website and the general Easter Seals email in the chat would be great.
Absolutely.
Stop sharing your screen. That would be awesome too.
Yes. Yep. Let me just go ahead and get out there.
Thanks so much for presenting on all the options. I think so many people don't know what you guys offer, and it's a lot. So thanks for sharing. Katie, want to introduce the next presenter?
Yes. So we're going to watch a video from another talented member, Zach Meacham. I hope I said his name right. So then he'll share a little bit about why he loves creating videos and movies and such. So, and then again, if you think of questions during the video while he's talking, you can type. If we get to those, I don't think we'll be able to get to those at this time, but if not, we can answer those at a later time. Okay. And so here you go, Zach.
Can you see the screen, the video screen?
I wake with the sunrise, having no reason to get up at all. I set no alarm. The first thing I do every day is say a simple prayer. I ask Jesus to take away my disability, and then I try to get up. No dice. After 45 minutes of ugly crying, my personal attendant gets me out of bed. It's time for breakfast. I read the newspaper, careful to avoid the sports section, because being reminded that other people can run will make me ugly cry again. For breakfast, I have plain oatmeal and tepid water, because I have nothing to live for. This is what it means to have a disability. Wait a second, stop. I've never eaten oatmeal plain a day in my life, and I don't intend to start today. Secondly, this is not what it means to have a disability. But that's kind of a hard question to answer. What does it mean to have a disability? Every one of them has the opportunity to be great. And it's our responsibility to take that opportunity and seize it. It means being different than those around you and being comfortable standing out in the crowd. It means being a problem solver and navigating a world that wasn't built for you. It means knowing more about the law than your local legislator and being better at navigating red tape than Leslie freaking Knope. It means being in a company of fierce advocates who won't take no for an answer.
This is movement politics, people. Yeah. It doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or Republican. We need our legislators to act.
And fighting against injustice because we've seen it firsthand.
I just saw a friend who has lost over 50 pounds in the last 6 months, and it's because she's not getting regular care. And I'm really worried about her.
It means refusing to be put in a box, even though everybody has ideas about what you can and can't do. It means failing every once in a while, but trying again, and learning to do things in your own way. It means not being afraid to ask for help, because some things you just can't do on your own. It means being okay with that. It means that those of us who navigate this able-bodied world with any kind of success are resilient more than most would even know. That's why many of us dedicate our time to making the world a little better for those that come after us. And while I can't speak for other disabled people, I know the challenges that I face have made me into the person I am. And for that reason, I wouldn't trade my body or life with anyone else. I love the life I live, and that includes my disability.
Zach, do you want to talk a little bit about your video and experience?
Yeah. So my name is Zach Maycomb. I've been a filmmaker for about 5 years. I've been a storyteller in several different capacities for most of my life. Writing, photography, design, public speaking. I've done all sorts of different forms of storytelling. And about 5 years ago, I fell in love with filmmaking because in a lot of ways, it combines all of the forms of storytelling that I love. And that kind of makes it one of the most powerful advocacy tools or even storytelling tools for anybody who wants to get a message across or tell a story that makes somebody feel something, that makes them laugh, makes them cry, gives them that warm, fuzzy feeling. And that's what I've really, in the last 5 years, been dedicating almost all of my free time and now all of my professional time to, is telling stories through videos. Because I believe, especially as an advocate, that if we really want to shape people's perspectives around disability and we really want to move somebody on something, we have to understand that people are moved through emotions and that we connect with people and with our emotions through stories. That's why movies and even stories that we have with our family and friends are so impactful for people. That's really kind of the SparkNotes story of why I'm a filmmaker and how I became one. I want to give you all a little bit of time to ask questions if you have any though, so I'm gonna shut up for that part.
Alrighty, so I'm gonna move on to the next, our last speaker, it looks like. So I hope you had fun. Okay, so last but not least, Travis is here to talk about programs and services for Iowa Vocational Rehab. And then just like the rest of them, the rest of the presenters, you can ask questions as well, or put it in the chat. All right, so Travis, you can take it away.
All right, thank you guys for inviting me. I'm going to talk a little bit about Voc Rehab, kind of the process and maybe some services that would be helpful for everyone. If you guys have questions, just put them in the chat. I have the chat pulled up right now, so I'll be able to kind of manage both. So I'm not sure how many of you guys are familiar with Iowa Vocational Rehabilitation Services, but we work with adults and students who have disabilities and especially barriers to employment. So what that means is you can call your local office, and if you're not sure where your local office is, I just recommend Googling it or calling the Des Moines office, and they can direct you. So the way it works is you would call the office, you'd get signed up for an orientation, and then go through that and meet your vocational counselor. The vocational counselor looks at your disability and barriers to employment. So all of us are most likely in a wheelchair, so that would be our barrier, right? We need things to help us get to work, first off. So some of the services that would be provided would be home modifications. So if somebody is ready to go to work, right, you need a modified bathroom, something that is going to help you get ready in the morning, because that's the first step going to work. The second step would be transportation. So modified vehicles, Voc Rehab can help with paying for those modifications. They don't buy the whole vehicle. You would be purchasing the vehicle and then paying for the modifications. Other things would be assistive technology in the workplace. Computers, we also provide 40% for college tuition and can provide personal aid. So some of you guys that are going to school or want to go to school and maybe have some barriers bringing a backpack, maybe need transportation to get to school, you can hire a personal aid and they can provide those services for you. I worked with many different vocational counselors throughout my time as getting my bachelor's degree at Buena Vista University and my master's degree at University of Iowa. And throughout those times, I had a personal service aide that got to assist me on campus when I needed that. So those would be some great services. The way that they're really looking at moving forward is your file stays open as long as you're working towards employment and wanting to achieve that long-term goal. So if you're wanting to go to school to be a lawyer, for example, they would work with you through your undergraduate, your master's, throughout that whole time until you achieve that long-term goal. So they're going to want to work with you and provide whatever services are needed for you to be successful in that long-term goal. That is really broad, but I know that we're running kind of behind time. So, and I know some of you guys are familiar with Voc Rehab, but if any of you guys have any questions right now, please feel free to put them in the chat or just ask me. Otherwise, it seems pretty quiet right now. But I really recommend anybody that is thinking about work, if it's part-time, full-time, going back to school, I would just check it out, call them, ask them. All right, Doug has a question. Returning to college to finish her teaching she has so far. So I would recommend asking for our post-secondary setting pay scale. So there's an Excel sheet that tells exactly how much they're paying. So check that out. It may depend on like a private institution. So we pay for 40% of a college credit based on, if you're a freshman, it would be a little bit lower. Freshman and sophomore is a little bit lower than your junior or senior year. But when you're going in to get your master's or any of that, the price continues to increase. So what they would do is ask your counselor to show you the tuition assistance amount for that college, because every college has different amounts. Do you have money available? Yes, we have money available year round. So that it shouldn't be an issue at all. And like I said, some counselors are different than others, and you may run into barriers. Ask them if you can, you know, maybe switch counselors or talk with a supervisor. It's okay to do that. And yes, if you were once involved and had closed a case, you can go back to Voc Rehab. I'll give you an example. I received Voc Rehab services. I went and got my master's, was encouraged to apply at Voc Rehab. I do that, so I'm a strong advocate for anyone that's wanting those services. The other day, I had something happen to my vehicle, so I got to go back and work with VR again and paying for modifications for a new vehicle. So you can go back. That is totally okay. It's never one and done, so that's awesome. Any other questions for you guys? Like I said, check it out because they can do a whole lot of things. Like I wasn't portion of vehicle adaptations, they will cover 100% of the vehicle adaptations. So you have to be striving to get back to work, especially in like a rural area that doesn't have access to transportation. They would be covering that for sure. I actually had a vehicle modified, my first one, when I was going to school because I lived in a very small town. There was no access to transportation. So I had to get to school, right? And they covered that transportation, the modifications. Like I said, you have to buy the vehicle though. And the vehicle has to be relatively new and not as many miles, because if Boca Rehab is going to spend $30,000 or $40,000 on the modifications, they want that vehicle to last. So that is a stipulation, but you can work with your VR counselors and walk through that process. Those are some great questions. Does anyone else have any questions? And I sent Angie my information. So if you guys think of questions, always email me. I don't know if anyone had my number, but I'm gonna throw that in the chat right now. It's my personal number. So you guys can reach out to me and ask me any questions. I don't mind at all.
Great.
If you can't drive, if you have a family member who would be transporting you and you're still wanting to work, we can still pay for those adaptations. Yep.
Great. Thank you so much, Travis.
Kimbra is right too. If you have adaptations in your vehicle, it's $60. Don't be paying that full price. So it is just one little form. That is a great point. Thanks, Kimbra.
Yes, great information. Thank you again, Travis. We're so happy that you came on, and that was a lot of information, but good stuff to know. So yes, we definitely will share your contact information for further questions that people have. Jeff, would you like to wrap us up?
Sure. Thank you for everyone. Thank you very much for attending our first virtual expo. We apologize we ran long, but it was all lots of good information and great message today. So I hope hopefully you guys all enjoyed that and agreed. Remember, we will be sending out a survey, so please submit your response to that and get your name thrown in that drawing for one of 8 $20 gift cards. Not a bad deal. Please follow us on social media so you can make sure you're staying on top of all the great stuff that we're doing. But wait, there is more we need to mention. All this great stuff you saw today, you have an option to see it again later or tell friends to check it out, because we are doing a virtual expo bonus edition. It'll be a special web page on our site to help celebrate Spinal Cord Injury Awareness Month, the month of September. So we'll have this whole presentation will be kind of cut up in different clips, so you can check out the specific things you want to. We also will have some extra video clips from other presenters that couldn't attend today. So there'll be some extra goodies there for you as well. So encourage you to check that out. For anyone who still has questions, some of us board members are going to be hanging out here, so please feel free to stick around and ask us any questions you may have. Thanks, everybody.
Yes, thank you all for joining us today. We so much appreciate all of your attendance and making our virtual event a success. We are excited. So again, like Jeff said, we just wanted to take the opportunity to give you guys the space to answer any questions you have for the board members or about the Iowa chapter or United Spinal or anything. We intended to have some breakout groups today, but we ran out of time, so we cut those out. So we just want to give you that space now to answer any questions you have. But again, let's being respectful of others and making sure everyone gets a chance to speak that wants to. So go ahead and open it up for any questions.
And don't forget that our peer support group is tomorrow night, same same concept as this. It'll be Zoom, but we get to just chit chat about our lives and anything you need to talk about. So join us. It's always fun.
And if you are asking a question, make sure to unmute yourself because we can't hear you. And also, Joyce posted in the chat that make sure you become a member of United Spinal if you have not already. And that is www.unitedspinal.org. Or you can find that link on our website, which is unitedspinaliowa.org. So we'll put that in the chat again so you can check out all those resources.
Don't forget equipment. If anybody has any questions on equipment, you can answer that right now too.
For the selling of equipment through Easter Seals, is that the same website? I think Jennifer's still on.
That's the AT for all. Go ahead.
It's under that. Okay. Because I can never find it. I always forget what the website is when I go to the Easter Seals website.
Yes, that is the same website. So you'll just create your account and then you can post your own items on there as well. And people can find you on there too.
Cool, thanks.
I see a couple of questions in the chat. The link to the survey will be sent to you in an email, either later today or tomorrow, with all the follow-up information, how to contact the presenters, and then the link to the survey as well. And we do ask that you fill out that survey by Monday at midnight so that we can draw for those, the winners of those 8 gift cards. The virtual support group, if you go onto the Iowa chapter's Facebook page, click on events, and that event will be tomorrow night. So it's an event. You can click on that to find the Zoom link.
It was
and anything
earlier too, the link. I'll repost it.
Okay, great.
And anything in the chat will disappear after this is over. So be sure to write things down if you didn't catch that part.
It actually will be saved.
Oh, okay.
I'm recording it, and so all the information in there will go out in an email.
Cool.
It may not be tomorrow, but it'll be within the next week.
Sometime.
Awesome. Because there's a lot of good information.
Great question, Lori and Doug. Keep them coming. I guess while there's a pause, I'd like to ask a question. From all of everyone on, we would love to do more events that you want. So give us some ideas. We take feedback very well. We love to hear from all of you. Tell us what you're into. Tell us what you want to see, what we can help do, whether it's a virtual thing or maybe in person next year, or what your favorite activity is. We love to incorporate all kinds of things. So we're all about living life. So just tell us what you like, what you want to see.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that because I'm helping with the social that's coming up in November. I would love to know of any ideas that you guys might have for that, things you'd like to have us talk about, or what kind of games we could play, things like that, because we want y'all to join us. I like to meet new people all the time. That's why I'm glad that we can do virtual.
You guys are so quiet.
No.
If you're like me, you'll probably think of a question in a couple hours and like, oh, I forgot to ask that. So, which is fine. You can contact us anytime.
To the ladies from New Cara, do you know of a good place around Iowa that does do ceiling lifts? I am looking at ceiling lifts and shower chair combo things to make my life easier.
I know that, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I know that Mobility does ceiling track lifts.
Okay. I work with them.
Do you live in Des Moines?
I live in Ames. So
In Ames.
yeah. So if I go to the New Cara in Ames, that's just a pharmacy, right?
Correct. It is
Okay.
just a pharmacy at this point, yes.
Okay.
We're crossing our fingers for, but yes, at this point, it's just a pharmacy.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Because yeah, I'll definitely be in touch with you guys about discussing more of that, the shower chair options and things like that.
Absolutely. I'll help you through that. No problem.
Oh, thanks.
I'll put Michelle's number and my number in the chat guys too.
Great, thanks.
Shelly, I like your disco ball in the background.
I was gonna turn on the light, but I was like,
you should. It's cool.
Yeah, that comes on every Tuesday night.
Every Tuesday?
Every Tuesday. I have a concert I watch, my favorite band, Fish.
There you go. I noticed that right away.
I'm just glad my cat stayed quiet when I was she was loud when I was muted.
I want to thank the board for pulling this off.
I think it was good. I had fun. I learned a lot of stuff. I miss seeing everybody, but you know, this is a good way to do it. And I love that quilt.
Anna.
Hi, Anna.
So I just wanted to again thank Angie for coming on to KHOI to promote the event. It was a lot of fun, and just thank you everyone for this great virtual event.
Thanks, Anna.
And Shelly, I'll be wearing my red sparkly pants for a Fish concert sometime soon.
Yes, we're totally going to a Fish concert.
Absolutely. I got the outfit now. You won't have to be embarrassed by me.
Awesome. And I
Except for my
definitely
dance boots.
I definitely want to get more involved with the national chapter on like what they're doing to make venues more accessible, because I go to about half a dozen Fish shows every summer, and there's some places that need some work, but yeah, I'm glad that the places have options. It's just there are some that they don't know how to. They also need informed on how to sell their tickets, because Fish tickets sell out in 5 minutes. So it's really hard to buy accessible tickets when they tell you, oh, they're all gone. And then you go on an hour later when they say the show's sold out, and then the tickets are there, because they don't know how to make it work for people that actually need those tickets. So I'd love to see what all the national chapter is doing and expand on some of that if they can. I mean, if they can't, it's cool. But like Dean said, I don't want to just sit around here. I want to do something.
Heidi, are you still on? Would you want to talk about being crowned Miss Wiltshire, Iowa?
She was kind of trying to do two things at the same time.
Okay,
so.
sorry. I just saw her name was listed. So for those of you who don't know, there is an organization called Ms. Wiltshire, Iowa. And a few of us board members have had that title, myself and Jen and Katie, over the years. And Heidi is 2020 I apologize, I don't know how to say her last name. Is it Kreiner? And she was crowned this year, so we are excited to have her on the call today. She would normally be at our event in person, of course, but that couldn't happen this year. If you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself or type it in the chat. We'll give a few more minutes before we close down for the day.
Hi, this is Evan.
Hey.
Kind of like the support group tomorrow night, there's also a Des Moines spinal cord injury support group the third Tuesday of each month, and that's a page called Des Moines Spinal Cord Injury Support Group. I'll put that in the thing as well, but it's kind of like the support group for United Spinal. Get on and try to have speakers or topics, but mostly just check in with each other on the Zoom. Anybody's welcome. It doesn't have to be just Des Moines, which is a cool part of having it on Zoom now.
Mm-hmm. Evan, you said that was the third Tuesday of the month?
Third Tuesday of the month. I'll put the thingy in the thing.
And I believe it's at 2 o'clock. Is that correct?
Thank you, Angie. Yes, it is 2 o'clock.
Perfect. And I believe, Evan, that resource is also on our newly redesigned website in the Resource Center.
It is.
Jeff Callum
I just
did.
checked. Double checked. Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thank you.
If anybody thinks of any other resources that would be helpful to have on our website, please email that to us and we'll be happy to add that.
Could you try to control paste
Absolutely.
on my keyboard, please?
It can be a resource for Iowa. It can be a national resource. Anything.
Get out of the way.
We'll put that on our website.
Still loud.
Yeah. They can hear us struggling.
If you can't think of any of your favorite activities right now, please message us on Facebook or email us or whatever. There's a contact form on our website as well. So please, we love hearing from all of you. So think of any cool ideas or something fun we can try, let us know. Our website again, it will be in the email, but it is unitedspinaliowa.org. And like Shelly told us earlier, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. We got YouTube this month, people. We're excited and fancy.
Moving on up.
Trying to be where you're at. So we're trying to find all of you fabulous people.
And if any of you want to volunteer to help with any committees or just, with a specific event, we always like to have you participate in any way you can if you want to get more involved with us, because then we get to hang out with you more.
Angie, do we have any more board member positions open? Or are we full on the board now?
We might have another spot open.
Okay.
But we definitely have committee spots open. So if you don't want to be a full-term board member, that's perfectly fine. We have plenty of committees that you can serve on, which we can talk about individually. So just reach out to us and we can chat about that opportunity. Great question, Mary.
Anybody been anywhere fun lately?
not even off my porch. Come on.
Physical distancing. If you've never been to What You Smokin', barbecue place on Highway 17 by Luther, it's well worth a trip, and they do a really, really nice job of keeping everybody distanced and serving your food and all of that. One of the best places, and it's a small little mom and pop place. But
yeah, it's good, and they have open, like they can open up their garage doors so that there's more airflow in there, so that, yeah, if you don't feel safe going inside of restaurants right now, that might be a safer place. And do they do curbside? Do you know?
My guess is they probably would, but they've also taken the back parking lot and they've put chairs, they've repaved, and there's just a lot of open room. And even
not a lot of parking. So what if a bunch of people in vans show up, it's not going to work. But
I think it's getting better though. They're using the other parking lot.
Oh, nice.
South.
Nice.
In the back.
I guess it was last summer I was there.
Totally different than last summer.
Cool.
Totally different.
So good to know.
And we actually went to the Middlebrook Farms last night. They had live music. And as long as it's not wet, the ground is level. So you can kind of pull your car anywhere around the farms. That's down in Cumming. And then they have live music from 4 to 7. And everybody was spaced appropriately, and it was just a nice event to get out to.
Do they have areas marked off? I know some places to put like circles in the grass.
No, everybody just claimed their spot and people stayed away from each other.
There's a winery, Snooze Hill. I think I saw a picture that they did like circles in the grass to keep people away from each other.
Yeah, that's a fun place too up in Madrid for some live music. Just something to do and be outside.
For you brave people. I'm not there yet. That's why I love Zoom. Gets me to see all y'all.
What?
Did you want to join my frame? All right. Well, I'm going to sign off. Thank you for all your work.
Thanks, Terry. Thanks, Jeff.
Bye-bye.
Heidi, are you able to talk to us?
Yeah, I'm on. Hold on a second. I'm on 2 Zooms. I'm Miss Wheelchair Iowa this year, and so I'm having a Zoom with them right now, and I'm trying to listen to you.
Sorry, I did not know.
Yes, I'm here.
I just was gonna introduce you, but we can do that in the follow-up email as well.
Yeah, and you know what, I would love to volunteer or come to any kind of event or anything that you have. I know with COVID, it's not going to be easy right now, but whatever I can do.
Perfect. Yeah, well, we'll definitely invite you to our November social event. I think that's our next virtual event that includes people. Our next one is the month of September, and that's just a online at any time find that resources. But
okay.
But yeah, we'll be in touch.
Awesome.
Thanks
Thank
so much
you for everything, and thanks to Shelley for inviting me.
No problem. That's what I do.
That's why we love Shelley.
I will get up in your face if you don't join us. No, I just happened to send her a message.
Awesome.
Well, I have to head out. I have another meeting here in a little while. So thank you all for attending today. We loved having you. And again, always contact us with any questions or feedback or ideas.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.